Okay, one other thing Nietzsche says, or rather critiques, in Western culture is the value of truth. The value of truth. He thinks uh, science and technology didn't just develop by accident in Western culture in the West. They're a product, a byproduct, an offshoot of the Judeo-Christian view of the world, of the Judeo-Christian view of the cosmos, which is connected to what we're going to be studying next, called Platonism. Platonism is just this idea we're going to see with Plato that the world is split in two, that there's another world beyond this world, very much like Christianity. Nietzsche actually says Christianity is just Platonism for the people, or Platonism for the masses, or Platonism for the people that can't understand Platonism. It's the idea of a split world, of a metaphysical world, a world beyond the physical. So mythology is like this too. Whenever you think of the other world, or somehow the world of the gods, or heaven and earth, you're thinking of two worlds. Okay. Now Nietzsche thinks this view of the two worlds, which started with Plato, don't have to know that yet, was promulgated by Judeo-Christianity. This idea that there's a world of reality behind appearances, that there's a deeper truth to things beyond what appears. Okay, so you have the appearance of things, and then you have the things that are beyond them, the truth of things. And he thinks this mindset actually aided in the scientific conquest of nature, looking for the hidden laws or causes behind things. That's what science, qua scientia, that is, knowledge is. Science is the hunt for causes in the world. When you have a science of something, you understand the causes behind things, the hidden causes. So Nietzsche thinks that it's Christianity, Judeo-Christianity, that actually moved scientific progress. It's very interesting. Now, the cool thing is he thinks that the death of God, which was caused by modern science, was actually the suicide of modern science. Okay, the death of God caused by modern science and technology lead to the idea that God is incredible. They actually lead to the death of science as well. What does that mean? Well, he thinks that with Darwin, we come to see that the truths that we were searching for in the world don't really exist. All we really have in science and technology is technology. We don't really know anything about the world. You might ask, well, why does science work then? Well, in the history of science, it's interesting, and Nietzsche was aware of this, you have scientific theories that work but aren't true. Like Ptolemaic navigation, for example, that's an easy one, where it's based on a geocentric view of the world. You can navigate in the seas with ships with Ptolemaic navigation, which is completely false, has a false understanding of the world, but it works. Why does it work? Well, that's the big question. For some reason, we're able to control the world. And this is what Nietzsche's point is, that with the death of God comes not only the death of theology, but the death of science. That is, science, knowledge becomes power. Bacon says this, knowledge is power. And that means if knowledge is power and science isn't really interested in the truth, but rather control, that means that, this is the key idea, the value of truth comes into question. The value of truth comes into question. So you'll see that Nietzsche's talking about the value of truth in those first excerpts from Beyond Good and Evil in the Nietzsche selections. Nietzsche is saying that with the death of God comes the death of truth. With the death of God comes the death of truth, and therefore the death of science and technology, or the death of science as knowing the truth, or as something looking for the truth. Okay, what does it mean then? Nietzsche is saying there is no truth. There is no truth. It's the death of truth. The death of God is the death of truth. So Nietzsche is a metaphysical relativist. He's not just a moral relativist. There is no good or evil, Harry, only power. Do you remember Voldemort says that in the first Harry Potter film? On the back of the guy's head, there is no good or evil, Harry, only power, and those who are too weak to seek it. Very Nietzschean, very Nietzschean. I remember the first time I saw that, I thought, Nietzsche. Well, Nietzsche is a moral relativist, but he's also a metaphysical relativist. There is no objective truth, right? Nothing is true for Nietzsche. Everything is false. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, we'll pause there. So the point of this video, the death of God is also the suicide of modern science. The death of God by modern science is also the suicide of modern science. Why? Because it's the death of truth, the death of knowledge. It's the death of knowledge of truth. It's just control. So the will to truth for Nietzsche is revealed as the will to power.